Welcome to Motivation Local, a podcast where we explore how place shapes identity, community, and the way we see ourselves. I'm your host, Corey Sadlemyer, and I'm grateful you've joined me for Season 2. I'm grateful too for the generous support from TELUS STORYHIVE, supporting so many podcasts across Alberta and British Columbia. Lived experience doesn't just shape how people view their community, it also influences how they view themselves. The sum of these experiences and memories forms a narrative about place. At the heart of this season, we continue to explore how these stories intersect, how community motivates its people, and how people in turn motivate their community. This year, our conversations will stretch further. We'll still share stories rooted in Medicine Hat, but with a bit of a twist. Many of this season's episodes will be presented through the eyes of some of our more creative community members. Each will bring a unique perspective on the connection between place and identity. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that Motivation Local is created on the traditional lands of the Blackfoot and Cree peoples, within the homelands of the Métis Nation, and at the meeting place of Treaty 4 and Treaty 7. These lands have been gathering places for generations, and we honor and learn from the deep relationships Indigenous people continue to have with this land. I look forward to sharing this new season of conversations with you on Motivation Local. Today's episode sits right at the intersection of community, creativity, and conviction. My guests are Kaleb Motz and Kyle Hodgman, two Medicine Hat creatives whose paths cross technology, branding, music, and civic imagination. Kaleb is the COO of Imagine Everything, with deep roots in community development here in the Hat. Kyle is a solopreneur and founder of Middle Name Creative Agency, helping organizations clarify who they are and how they show up. Together with Kyle's brother Wade, they also formed a punk rock band called the Social Threat. And that matters because music, like place, teaches you how to put your voice out there. More recently, inspired by the work of Roman Mars, Kaleb and Kyle have been quietly working on something else, a new flag for Medicine Hat. Not an official launch, not a press release, a slow, subtle idea released into the community to see if it takes root. This conversation is about where they come from, how they found each other, and why they believe symbols still matter, especially in a city like ours. Let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Kyle Hodgman.
Hi.
Nailed it.
And Kaleb Motz.
Oh, hello.
We're gonna cover some fun ground here today,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna lead by putting you guys on the spot.
Oh man. Okay.
And so and it doesn't matter who goes first here, but I don't want you to tell me a little bit about yourself. I'm gonna get you to introduce Kyle, and vice versa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors?
Well, I don't think I've never met this guy before. Yeah.
Well, this should be really interesting.
Yeah. Hey, Kyle. Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah. This is Kyle Hodgman. Yeah, good friend of mine. Creative guy, business owner. Hails from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, and I've known him for 15, 20, maybe close to
No one knows.
18 years.
It's something like that.
A while. We've known each other a while. Yeah.
It's hard to do math on a podcast.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
I can't believe you'd ask us to do math.
Jeez.
This is Kaleb Motz. We've been friends for whatever time he said. We met in college in the art and design program. And we were in a band together, the Social Threat, for quite a few years. And then after college, Kaleb got into marketing and business, mostly in the education tech, but a bunch of other things.
Right.
And now we are working on some other secret projects.
All right. Yeah, we're going to get to that one.
Yeah,
we won't, in the podcast lingo these days, we won't double click on that one.
Oh, okay.
We'll,
I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do not know the lingo.
Yeah, I never even thought about that. There's like special industry terms.
Yeah. So, Kaleb, at what growing up, or maybe at that point where you arrive at Medicine Hat College, whatever number of years of friendship down the road here you are, what did you envision you'd be doing in your life, and what actually happened? I say that as though it's like what happened?
Yeah, what happened? Well, I mean, I don't know how to take that. Well, that's a good question, actually. And you know what? It's weird. I haven't, looking back, I can't say I ever gave it too much thought, to be honest. When I graduated high school, and I grew up in Hanna, a couple hours north here, and when I graduated high school, I kind of a vague idea that I wanted to, maybe go into some creative field, and thought maybe graphic design would be good. I was kind of one of those like art kids in high school or whatever, and did bands and music and stuff, and thought I'd go to the college. I came to Medicine Hat a lot growing up.
Okay.
And like I had family here, and we would spend Christmas, and came here a lot. So, and I knew Medicine Hat College was a pretty good reputation and whatnot. So, ended up here after high school, and I guess I just kind of never really left. So, where I've ended up, or how I've gotten here, I just kind of got to know some people and just kind of followed opportunities where they led. And I think one thing that's always been true of what I've done and where I'm at is that I'm just excited to be, part of things, and happy to help, and wherever that finds me, I'm good with.
That's
and,
good.
Here we are.
And how about you, Kyle? Same question.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Prince Albert. Me and my wife got married in 2008, and literally the day before I proposed to her, she's like, change of plans. I'm moving to Medicine Hat. I'm taking this program at the college there. And I'm like, I guess I'm going with you. And so that, there were plans, and now we're doing something different. And I don't know, we moved here. The city felt cool. I was working electrical, and it was 2008, and the housing market's crashing, and I'm like, I got to do something else. And I just thought the art and design program was super cool. I had a friend that I had previously went to a different college with, and she went and took the design program in Winnipeg, and I was like, mind blown that this is a job,
Right.
that someone gets paid to draw these little things, draw these logos, make websites. You're like, oh, people get paid to do that. And I'm like, this will be fun. Let's get into that. And took the program, met Kaleb, graduated from the program, and we just didn't leave the city.
Right.
Because we liked it so much.
And was that a previous interest of yours?
Well, I'd been in bands in high school, and so every time we needed a CD or a shirt or a poster or something like that, I'd design it and thought it was fun. So it was this thing that kept on happening, but it kind of kept on happening out of necessity, and I didn't think that this was a career that someone could have. No one told me in high school that this was a thing that someone could do.
Yeah.
And then fell in love with it.
And was there something for you guys, because you both came from other centers, that just clicked about Medicine Hat?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, like I said, I'd come here a lot growing up, so I did have some connection to the city already. Hanna, where I grew up, it's a small town, right? About 3,000 people or so. And I lived for a year in Calgary, so that's kind of bigger city kind of stuff. And I've always liked that Medicine Hat kind of feels like it's kind of right in the middle. It's got that small town feel, but it's got everything you might need in a larger center for the most part. And I don't know, it hasn't really crossed my mind to leave. I guess we've enjoyed living here, and it's a nice place to call home.
Yeah. How about you, Kyle?
Yeah, well, we didn't know anyone. We moved here for the college, and that was a weird, tough move to show up in a new city where we literally had no connections in the city itself. So that was a really tough year coming here and being, I don't know, if we're trying to have to forge your own path and figure out who you're going to connect with and how and what that all means. Yeah. But the city felt really familiar to Prince Albert, same size, same kind of vibe. And so that familiarity was pretty comforting. And then by the time my wife's through college and I'm through college and we have a band going, and we have friends, and we have connections and job opportunities. At that point, we're like, life is good. Why would we go somewhere else?
Yeah. That's the relationship pieces. Once those are forged, it becomes really important. Right?
It was huge. It was what kept us here. Opportunities and friendships. And after fighting so hard to find those, then we don't want to give them up or have to, like, we were very like aware of what it would mean if we had to do that all over again. And you realize that we had something so good. So we're like, we're choosing to stay.
Yeah, that's a good way to put that. Yeah.
And Kaleb, for you, you've done a few different things in your professional career. Has there been a through line for you that's connected those things?
Yeah, I guess. First thing I forgot to mention there, and it might come up later too. But Kyle and I met in the BizCom program, art design program. But I'm what you might call an art school dropout. Okay. I only lasted. You say it's like a year and a half. I think it was like closer to 2 years.
Dude, I remember the day when you dropped out. It was the first day of the second semester of second year.
Oh, man.
I am in web design. I have a spot saved for you. And I text you, are you coming to class? And you're like, no, I dropped out.
Yeah, okay, so.
Like, out of nowhere, out of the blue, I had no clue that was what was happening.
Right. Sorry about that. Yeah, I could have given you some heads up.
And you've never forgiven me.
Ever.
I guess not.
I let that fuel my hate.
So I just add that to say I dropped out of the art school program, the design program, and I went to the business program. And ever since then, I've just been involved in I was involved in a startup. I've been involved, kind of leading the marketing department for another business, and now I found myself in a kind of an executive level position at another company, and just all kind of the same stuff. Like it started, I guess, out with kind of marketing and sales, but kind of just let it just the way that I am, I guess. Like I take a lot of what I do very personally. There's not much of a separation for me between like my work self and myself. And I just, like I said earlier, that idea of just kind of being, willing and happy to be a part of something and contributing with people to a common goal, and just that positive or that perspective of I'm here to help, and just what can I do, and all that kind of stuff is, I guess, a bit of a through line in where I found myself. And as we might cover maybe a little bit later, I don't know where Kyle's going to go with some of his stuff. Some of that kind of.
But you might be able to predict. Right,
maybe. Yeah. You might say we've been here before. I've lost my train of thought there. Sorry, just that idea.
Easter eggs at Christmas time.
Right. Exactly. Just the idea of being a part of something and happy to help and all that. I guess it was. I'll leave that for now. But
if it's any solace, I made it one semester.
Okay.
At the Medicine College.
Really?
Yes.
What'd you take?
I was in business. We had a management class where we had to come up with a proposal for a business. There were 5 of us in the group. All of us were golfers.
Okay.
So we were going to open up a golf store.
Right.
We conducted our meetings at the Corona.
Yeah.
All right.
That was
awesome.
That was sign
on
number,
Friday nights.
That was sign number 1 that this was not going to work. And then we were presenting in the college theater, and the prof's name was Bob Zabritsky. No, he owned a Honda dealership in town. And we are on the stage doing our presentation, and Mark Torgerson is he's going to be our closer.
Right.
He is still writing his part.
While you guys are talking?
On the stage.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
And, Bob is like,
right.
This is the worst presentation I've ever seen. But that isn't what made me drop out. I also had a problem with this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. math class.
Oh, okay.
It was like calculus.
That sounds painful.
Yeah, and I realized early on, like they don't take attendance. Like you don't have to attend, and so I didn't necessarily attend.
Right. It's your money.
Yeah, I didn't know about that part. I guess maybe. I learned though, and so I show up for the final for the course, and we're writing them in the college gym.
Okay.
And I sit down and I look at the page. It was my last exam, and I look at it and I go, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
There, yeah.
Yes. And so I go and I kind of go through the pages, and about 20 minutes in, I get up and I start walking towards the table to hand in my exam, and I can actually hear gasps in the gym, because all the other people taking this class are going, "That guy's a genius.
Yeah.
How is he done already?"
Right.
So
No, I'm just leaving.
Just giving up, actually. Yeah.
So I hand it in, and I go home, and my mom and dad are both home, and I go, Mom, Dad, I'm dropping out of college. And I went to work at a nursing home. So
right, there you go.
I learned some lessons.
That's funny.
So So this story is not about me, but I just want to give you some comfort that
Right.
there's always a way to come back.
There's always a way to come back.
For you, Kyle,
Yeah.
when did you realize that you were a creator? And sometimes creative people don't necessarily love that label, right?
Yeah.
But how does that influence how you kind of move through the world?
I don't know if I knew or even think of myself as like a creator, or not in the artsy sense. Like in high school, that wasn't something that I felt like fit me, even though I was in a punk band in high school with my brother, and we'll get to where that connects with Kaleb later.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I didn't think of music as art, and also back that now creator is like this internet term and a way to make money. And then I'm like,
become something else.
like I'm a kid. I like playing drums. This is fun.
Right.
I love this experience. And like we would play music I think like the way our schedule was set up between like all the different bands we were in and things that we would do. I think there was maybe only one night a week where I didn't play drums all throughout high school.
Yeah.
And it was just for the love of it.
Right.
And for some reason that wasn't like art to me. It was just, I like hitting things.
Right.
And then you're in a band and you got to make shirts and merch and swag and stuff like that. Yeah. And that was just out of necessity, but I enjoyed the experience. Actually, my dad, he's a huge influence on me and my brother Wade for music, but he also took like media programs at the SciAst in Prince Albert. And I have like very clear memories of like thinking his writing was really cool. Okay. And then he would just spell out different words and like hand drawing essentially different fonts, and me kind of having my mind blown. You're like, oh no, like you form letters like this. This is how school works. Like it's how writing works. Yeah. So I learned it in school. You have the dashed lines and you got to follow them. And he's taking the Batman symbol and turning it. Now it's a B. And he took the Batman symbol and spelled Batman with pieces of that symbol. And I just had my mind blown thinking, this is what you can do with letters and drawing. And so I think that was a huge influence on me as well. And so the joy of music, seeing my dad like draw this stuff just for fun, just got in my bones subconsciously. And then the opportunity, a little bit of a necessity coming up and realizing there's this art and design program at the college and seeing other people who've done something similar and thinking, this is cool. And then going through the program and realizing what this really means, that there's this artistic craft, but it becomes this communication tool that can be used to create feelings and expressions, but also like accomplish goals for things. For us, it was bands and that kind of stuff, but realizing how that applies to businesses and organizations and the kind of impact that can have on people and how much people just love the feeling or identities of like little logos and simple drawings. For some reason, there's just you see a logo and it's for a company or a band or something that you love, and you have this innate desire to, I want that on a shirt because it represents me or it shows off something. I think we just love that stuff, and realizing someone makes those at the beginning of the day is like, that was just super interesting to me. And I wanted to find out what that meant and what it takes to get to that point where you're the one making those things.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's play off the Batman thing a little bit.
All right.
Every dynamic duo.
Okay.
I don't know if you get who's Batman and who's Robin here.
Rock, paper, scissors. Right, I don't know.
Every dynamic duo has an origin story.
I'll be Darkwing Duck. You'll be.
Oh, I haven't thought about that for a while. That's a deep cut. Yeah.
Where you guys have hinted at it.
Okay.
Yeah. Where does this come together here? And in some ways, maybe it's a dynamic trio.
Well,
of some
yeah.
sorts,
I mean, this is 2/3 of the band. I guess that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, maybe just how you guys meet and then how that.
Yeah,
go
sure.
from there.
Well, we met actually first day of the VisCom program.
Yeah.
I guess we both kind of were dressed similarly and just gravitated towards each other.
Ramones.
Well, yeah, you're wearing a band t-shirt. I'm wearing a band t-shirt. Let's be friends.
I probably put on a band t-shirt on purpose because the way I remember this story is my brother Wade met Kaleb like the week before.
Right.
Okay.
And he
good
told
to
me
mention
he told me, he's like, I met this guy.
Yeah.
He's into music, seems cool. Yeah. He's going into the VisCom program too.
Right.
When I met him, he had swoopy hair and he was wearing a "To Write Love on Her Arm" shirt.
Yes, I was.
So look out for him. And then orientation day, I'm like, I gotta put on a band shirt, make sure I'm sending out the same signals. And honestly, the second I saw Kaleb, I'm like, that's the guy that Wade was talking about for sure. And then went up and talked to him.
Yeah. So then it worked out that I, a couple days later, or whatever the time frame was, ended up at a band practice, and I didn't know actually that Kyle and Wade were brothers. Yeah. So I showed up and was like, "What are both of you guys doing here? Like, what's going on?" And then quickly put it together.
You didn't know at the first practice that you were going to be in a band with us?
I mean, I knew what I was kind of maybe getting into, but it kind of occurred to me, wait a minute, you guys are brothers, and like this, it all kind of clicked.
My wife Lisa, I was friends with her brother. Before, but I didn't know he had siblings.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's weird how that stuff works out.
When I meet her, I'm like,
right.
Start to put it together, and I'm like, I might have to go talk to your brother and see if this is allowed.
Yeah. So it's funny when that stuff works out sometimes.
Yeah.
But I guess we ended up spending a lot of time together. We wrote music, we were playing shows. We kind of just made a go of it, I guess, and kind of the way that we could, here in the local kind of scene, and we were in the van a lot, traveling and doing shows, and that was like a good 5 or so years of time.
Yeah, I would say like 5 years of trying really hard.
Yeah, trying really hard. Yeah,
and then there's a few years of trying less hard.
Yes.
But it was 5 years of constant.
And see how far you can go with this.
Totally. Yeah, it was fun. And actually, when I got a little tripped up there earlier, I was thinking ahead to kind of maybe we might be talking about some of this stuff, but just that idea of like not separating what you do from yourself. And Kyle kind of was mentioning that too. Like it just kind of gets in your bones. And it's like the time in the band was really cool. Like Kyle talks about, how, you're playing drums from like a young age, and like, it's just kind of like all this kind of stuff. But when I joined, like, I had a bass, I kind of dabbled around a little bit, and I was in some like really terrible bands in high school, like just making noise.
We all were,
and, all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't until I like got, playing with Kyle and Wade that, I actually really had to learn my instrument. These guys like really taught me everything that I knew about it. And then that whole kind of thing of like, you're working together with two other people on something, a creative endeavor. And there's like, you got to kind of hone your craft. And then there's the whole business side of it. There's like the, booking shows and buying merch and selling merch and, the promotion aspect and all of that. So it became like, I think for both of us, speaking for both of us, maybe I think you'd agree, like those 5 or so years were like really formative. Like that was a really important time. And that kind of like, there's like a kind of a punk rock, like DIY kind of work ethic that comes from that. There's this idea that just like, let's just go do stuff, and let's try things out. I remember when I was in college too, like, at the same time with the band, and, there'd be group presentations and stuff like that. And people in my class would be like, just so nervous, like sweating buckets, you know, like out in the hallway pacing, just nervous or whatever. And, you know, that weekend maybe, let's say the presentation was on a Monday. I can remember one instance in particular where, you know, we rolled into town Sunday night or like it was Monday morning, probably like 6 a.m. after being in Edmonton or something. And I barely prepared for this presentation. No sweat, crushed it. And everyone else is just like
You weren't even done performing.
Right, I was still.
You had a
in show mode.
presentation that morning?
Yeah, there was one instance where I did have that, but just like there were many times where it just, I don't know. What I'm trying to say here is connected at all. Is like it was a cool couple of years, right?
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about like how the sausage gets made, I guess, and creatively and musically and all that kind of stuff. And we were running a little business, really, is what we were doing.
Well, the weekend that I think you're referring to is like the Remembrance Day weekend.
Oh, yeah, right.
And we played, so because it was Remembrance Day weekend, we had, that year it was in the middle of the week. So we had a show on like Thursday somewhere,
Right.
Friday somewhere, Saturday somewhere, Sunday somewhere. I think Sunday was in Edmonton. And we are driving back. We played Sunday night in the Wonder Bar.
Okay, yeah, I remember the Wonder
Bar. And it's show ends at midnight. We go to Steel Wheels for pizza.
Classic.
We leave Edmonton at like 1 a.m.
Right.
And we're driving back home. Caleb's got school. I got school. Wade's got work. And we get to Brooks. And the van gets really cold.
Yeah. It was just past Brooks. I mean, because I was driving.
Yeah, you were driving, and you like it cold, and it was
Yeah.
so cold that I woke up.
Well, I was trying to stay awake, so
Yeah.
I make myself uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean,
when
it's
need to
5
stay
a.m.
awake.
at this point.
Right. Yeah, it was really, really.
And then it gets really cold, and we're like, something's wrong. Caleb rolls down the window, van stalls. We can't roll the window back up. We check it out. We see a hose is knocked off. Wade's a mechanic.
Right. Yeah.
We wouldn't have toured anywhere without Wade because we really needed him to make sure that
Hey,
fan worked.
That van wasn't that bad.
No, it was really good, but Wade also kept it running.
That's true.
So Wade roughshods fixing this hose. We try and start it up again. It doesn't work. Turns out the serpentine belt's knocked off. So we got no power anymore. The alternator's not doing anything, and we got no more juice. That night at the Wonder Bar, there was no cover. It was just Past the Hat.
Yeah.
And all the other bands were local. They gave us everything because
I remember that.
we'd all played together all weekend at a whole bunch of different cool shows.
Yeah.
But we're in their hometown. They were super generous and gave us everything. We call a tow truck. We don't have AMA or whatever.
I don't think we did it at that time, though.
And they could have towed us to Brooks, but that's not going to be helpful. So we just asked them to tow us to Medicine Hat.
Yep.
The guys said it's gonna be a bunch.
Right. Yeah.
But we needed to get home.
Yeah.
We get home,
school and stuff.
and we just have the cash from the weekend.
Yeah.
That's all we have. and I think the price of the tow was literally what
It was like
the bands gave us
well right on,
that Sunday night.
It was meant to be.
It
guess so.
felt like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It absolutely felt like it. And then Caleb goes to school and does a presentation.
Yeah. It was, just all.
I skipped class and went to bed.
That was just another weekend. Just another weekend.
It's true. That felt normal for us, which is insane that was what we were doing.
Right. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say, though, too. It's like we put ourselves in situations that were just like, we just did stuff, right? And we learned a ton through it.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was a good time.
So being, like when I think of Seattle and grunge, I think of Medicine Hat and punk.
Okay.
You do?
No.
Well, I mean, I was thinking like one shot.
I was gonna say like think of Medicine Hat and country.
So being a punk band from
Okay,
a small
sure.
urban center, pluses and minuses of that, or does it matter?
Oh, well, there were some really cool opportunities that happened because we were in Medicine Hat, because we're on the number one. Bands are coming through, and early on there was this promoter, Thomas Danino. He was from Victoria.
Oh yeah.
He had a brother in Montreal.
Okay.
And they were in bands together for a long time, and they knew. So between the two of them, they knew everyone out east and everyone out west, and they're traveling across the country. So Thomas ran shows.
Yes.
He was also in the Viscon program.
He was, yeah.
Yeah. And he ran shows on Tuesday nights at the Ottoman.
I missed the Ottoman.
Okay.
And
that's a great
we did.
place.
It got to the point where we didn't know who was coming on Tuesdays. We
Right.
did not care.
Yeah.
It
It's
was always
Tuesday. It's 9:00. You go to the Ottoman, and you're gonna see something awesome.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't matter if they told us the name because we wouldn't know the band.
Yeah.
And because of that, we got to play with like some really awesome Canadian indie bands that were up and coming
Yeah.
at that time. Shotgun Jimmy,
Yep.
You Say Party, We Say Die. Like there
Yeah.
were some bands that we had no right sharing
Yeah,
a stage with.
Right, yeah.
And that happened in Medicine Hat.
Mhm.
And those were the kinds of shows that we would try and fight for at
Yeah,
other cities
yeah.
and be like, there are cool bands traveling through. Can we open for them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to have a draw in Edmonton.
No,
There's
no.
local bands that will have a draw in Edmonton. We would never get those opportunities.
Yeah.
And we'd try and find them in other places. But
Yeah.
that first year, 2 years, because of the shows that
was-
Thomas put on,
Yeah.
and it's because of his connections,
Right.
but because of where Medicine Hat was.
Yeah.
Bands touring across the country, driving down this highway,
Mhm.
and who's playing on a Tuesday?
Right. Yeah.
You played all weekend, you're sleeping for a few days, and you're just trying to get to the next city.
Right.
Tuesdays are free, and so
Yeah.
Tom get to offer these bands. It's like, make a couple bucks,
Yeah.
get you a place to sleep. You're
Yeah.
killing time anyways.
Yeah.
might
Right,
as well
right.
get paid.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a
And-
neat model. Yeah.
Yeah,
is,
so
yeah.
it was just like the perfect
It was.
combination for lots of things, and
Yeah.
it gave us an opportunity to,
It did, yeah.
like practice in front of cool people.
Yeah.
The pressure,
Yeah.
get the pressure cooker
Yeah.
on us
Yeah.
that helps you
Yeah, yeah.
like form your craft, because it's so much more than just writing songs and playing in your basement. As soon as you're in front of real people,
Yeah.
it feels different.
Yeah,
feels
we done
different.
that.
It
Was
does.
10,000 hours when the Beatles go to Germany
Yeah.
and just
Right.
play
Yeah.
every night, just
Yeah.
Whenever they can.
just to get that feedback.
Right.
And,
But you can do your 10,000 hours in your basement,
Mm-hmm.
and that is very different than the 10,000 hours that are in front of people.
Right. Or
Those
just
are
like,
different
Yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah, or even just like in front of people, and also just like navigating like the scene and stuff, and like figuring
Yeah.
stuff out. So yeah, Medicine Hat. That's a good question. Like if Medicine Hat kind of, it was like the dynamic of
Yeah.
Medicine Hat and the way that works. Something that comes to mind too, and Kyle was talking about that, and yeah, I missed the Ottoman. That place is great. Is that in a place like Medicine Hat, like you kind of have to work a little harder for that stuff to happen. And I don't, for me anyway, like it kind of meant more.
Yeah.
Like it was cool. Like if you could kind of get a show together or like make stuff happen, in a smaller center like this, and it just feels good, right? It's a nice. It means a little more. And you go to like Edmonton and stuff. Yeah, there's like a cool scene, and obviously there's in bigger centers there's a lot more going on. And it's not that, like that doesn't mean a lot or that's not a cool thing to be a part of, but it's just like another Friday night or whatever. So in a place like Medicine Hat, when like you have to kind of work a little harder to make that stuff happen, it's just it's a cool thing to be a part of. So I don't think it like limited us really being from Medicine Hat. If anything, also it kind of we were encouraged to get out and
Yeah.
travel a bit and go to different cities and all of that. And that is also
Yeah.
kind of an opportunity that we may not have had if we were say doing it in Edmonton or somewhere larger and just could be comfortable playing.
Yeah, you'd play in your city.
All around the city.
Yeah, like if we lived in Calgary, we would have just played in Calgary for quite a long time before we would try and travel. We're in Medicine Hat. I think our third show was out of town.
Traveling. Yeah, like we were on the road as soon as
Probably
we
in
could. Yeah.
Brooks.
It
Probably was in
Probably.
Brooks.
Who knows? Yeah.
But we were forced out.
Right.
Like, you have to make your own opportunities. And so we went and did that. I think that's the thing that it taught us was, like, if you want something to happen, you just go and do it.
Yeah.
Nothing's stopping you. And
Yeah.
you don't need to wait for someone to give you permission or an opportunity.
Right.
If you want to do a thing, just go do a thing.
Yeah. Just go do
And
it.
so I want to play a show.
Yeah.
All right. Let's rent some equipment. Let's get some lights. Let's put up some posters. Let's call some bands. We're doing a show.
Right.
And that's what we did.
So that act of putting yourself out there, whether that's in a live show or in the form of a recording, or I went back and watched some of the videos.
Oh no!
Of,
Yeah, sorry about that.
We have a clip?
Sorry, clip. Camera.
What did that teach you about putting yourself out there? Or putting your creativity out there into the world too?
I guess, yeah, that's a good question.
For me, I think I just really liked playing.
Right. Yeah.
I don't even know how much I liked writing songs.
Yeah.
We just needed songs so that I could play. I really loved the craft of composition. I loved our Monday nights where we would come with our ideas together and try and work out how a song's gonna sound, who's playing what, and how all these puzzle pieces go together. That was my favorite part. The words and the lyrics were lyrics and melodies. That was necessary, but that was just like, we need these components in order to play the game. And I just loved playing, and I loved bouncing those musical ideas off of each other. And then once we had that, I kind of just really wanted to test it. And so when you get a chance to like put that in front of people, play a show and see their response and get the energy back from them.
Right.
For me, that was the funnest moment, to have spent that much time figuring out how we're going to put this song together, how we're going to put all these ideas together, and then go out in this pressure cooker moment and see if it worked and see if we could even pull it off. Right. A lot of the times we're just like, it was, oh man, I messed up so bad.
Right.
And what's funny is when you're trying to form a song, or probably anything, you have this intention of what you're trying to put out there, and you're trying to evaluate, was it good or was it bad? But if you do a bad job of executing it, you don't actually get to know the truth.
Right, yeah.
You're like, did we write a bad song, or did we play a good song poorly? Those are different things. Right. So now we got to play another show so we can play it correctly again. And then, if it was bad then we know we're on the wrong path.
Right. That
but
makes
I
sense,
liked playing so much that that was, I think for me, that was the driver. It wasn't so much, here's some art, or I'm trying to, it was honestly probably really selfish. This made me feel good. I'm going to go do it.
That's a good way to put it. Actually, that's kind of what I was thinking too. And that was a good question, Corey. I don't know, like, I might just kind of have the same answer again. Maybe a bit of a broken record, but just again, it was really cool to be a part of this thing and to be making something with these guys and being a part of, cool shows in other cities and kind of the scene and whatever. It was just like a cool thing to be a part of. So I don't know if I always thought about it, in terms of like, oh, I'm being creative and putting my creativity out there. It was more just like, yeah, this is a cool thing I'm doing, and like I'm stoked to do it. And that's just kind of how I am in general, I guess. So whether it was the show or whether it was like, at the merch table or whatever aspect of it that it was just like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm here. It's cool to show up and be a part of this thing and, play my part, and whatever with these guys. And I just kind of, band or not, that's just kind of how I am. So I don't know if maybe I'm not as much of a creative as you. That makes sense, actually.
But yeah, think about like if, so there's that experience part.
Yeah.
There's a part of, doing it for the sake of doing it because you enjoy it because even then, like whenever then was, but it's pre Instagram algorithm and that kind of stuff. But you could
just at the start of it.
But you read those things about, I don't know, it's like some Swedish genius who makes Taylor Swift songs all popular, right? Like there's an algorithm to doing this, and you can. I think I read somewhere that you were talking about that, like writing workshops and how people can take that in different directions, and that didn't really resonate with you.
I don't know if I thought, it's punk music. This, of all of the forms of art, this didn't feel like art.
Yeah.
I never thought of myself as an artist or a creative.
No,
this didn't feel like art. I like hitting things with drumsticks.
Let's play fast. Let's yell about stuff.
And then we can be... Yeah, that's true. We were semi-political lyric, or very social justice.
Yeah,
it's punk music. You got to tell someone they're doing it wrong,
right.
or else
you got to tell someone they're doing it wrong. That's funny.
That's what you have to do, and that's kind of fun too.
Yeah, that is fun for sure.
You guys you've talked too how you're doing this band thing,
right?
But you're building up the other set of skills,
of course,
alongside that really go on to serve you well in other areas.
Totally.
What were those things you were learning along the way?
we kind of mentioned some already, but just, I mean, a lot of things really. Just confidence for sure.
Yeah.
Just the, not being afraid to fail or mess up or look dumb in front of people, right? Like, that kind of stuff for sure carries through. Even today and later, again, with the band, I was going to mention this too. Like, we're talking about this. It's cool to reminisce about it. We actually don't talk about it very much. You might think we do listening to this, but the reason maybe why we're having a good time here talking about it is because this is like 10 years ago.
Yeah. We quit 10 years ago.
They quit 10 years ago. So like this is a while ago now that we're kind of thinking back on. But like you're saying, the skills they carry forward, and there's stuff. So the confidence, the not being afraid to fail, just the idea for me, like when you're learning and kind of figuring stuff out, it's like, or trying to get good at something, and you're a part of something at the same time, like not wanting to be kind of the weakest link, I guess, like kind of doing your part and doing it as best as you can, as to kind of serve the organization or the whole, kind of that DIY kind of stuff I mentioned earlier. A lot of things, like I think you can trace a lot of it back, for sure.
But even the hard skills, like I feel like I got to exercise my design craft in a very real practical way, and not in a classroom environment where it's getting graded or critiqued by other students. I'm legitimately drawing something, and we're going to screen print it and put it on a shirt and try and sell it. And will this make money? And will people like it? And does it represent us? And all those kinds of things. And we are running a little business. And so much of being a part of a band is marketing yourself. Everything you're doing is just like, we're networking, we're trying to connect to other people, we're trying to find new fans, we're trying to meet other bands, everything. Sales. And then there's the sales component, and like, so along with the creativity and with the design side of the creative, there's all of the marketing skills, there's all of the sales skills, there's all the networking skills. Like, so much of that I feel like is at least as formative for me as the whole college experience was. Actually,
that's well put. I think I learned more, doing the band stuff than I did in any program I ever took or any class. Maybe what we're saying is to people, like younger people listening, maybe it's like, go start a band. You learn a lot.
It's really wild because we were just young and dumb and doing whatever we just liked it. We loved doing it. It was a lot of fun, and we wanted to see how far we could push it, and the skills that we ended up needing to learn. And I imagine today that's even more complicated with the way internet works. Like the whole machine. Like that seems like a really complicated version, like the world to live in now, and the skills that you would learn having to navigate that would be incredibly valuable as well. So doing this dumb thing for fun taught us. Taught me for sure some really practical skills.
Totally.
I think you guys brought something to that, and I see, like, if I look at some of your current work and yours, I've checked out some of those pieces. And your brother Wade happens to live around the corner from me, and I notice how perfect his lawn is, and everything he builds. He built a shed and a fence, like it's all just perfect. And so there's this attention to detail that is, to me, a real common thread between the three of you. And was that something that you sparked with one another, or pushed one another, or was that just maybe that was some of the glue?
That's another good question.
That could be Wade's influence on us.
Maybe, because Wade, actually, that's interesting. Funny little thing, other thing I learned, just a little sidebar. It's related to this, though, for sure. I learned a lot about conflict resolution.
How so?
Well,
who was in conflict?
Well, being in a band with two brothers, who butt heads frequently, and you're trying to, create something and bring something into the world, and there's a lot of differences of opinion and things like that. You learn a lot about conflict resolution. But I think you're right. Maybe we did pick up some of that, like attention to detail from Wade. That's a good question. I think, like, again, I mentioned a little bit ago that idea of like kind of playing your part and like doing what you do and needing to do it well as part of the whole. That kind of sticks with me as like when you have a task in front of you, or say you reference kind of my current role or whatever, like the lane that I'm in and the part that it serves, the organization organization or the business, it's on me, I guess, to do what I'm doing as best as I can. And I mean that translates well from the band too. It's like if I'm not playing my part just right, or if I'm not, Kyle's doing a fill, if I'm not like hit for hit with the fill and catch or stop at the right moment or whatever, like that. Those are that's attention to detail, like micro details that most people probably won't even hear, especially in like a bar at midnight. Right? Like no one's caring. No one cares. But
Can we start over, please? There was something right there that I didn't do.
Right, yeah. I was off by like a half second. I missed the push. I'm so sorry, guys. But anyway, like thinking about that stuff at that level of detail, like for years, like together with someone in a group, that sticks for sure. I don't know if it's like I don't know. Does that make sense?
No, I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
That's a variable, and when it comes to music, it's interesting how expertise in playing your instrument or whatever. It's weird how it progresses. It doesn't progress the way that you would think it progresses at first. You learn your chords and a bit of timing, and then you figure out your parts, and you're trying to make sure that everything lands together. And then when you're in a band, you're figuring out how to coordinate that all together. There's this drummer that I love, Steve Jordan. He's a legend. He's been playing back since like the 70s. He's the studio drummer, and so much of what he plays is just and it sounds so simple. And his vibe's incredible. And I listen to him play and it feels so good. And it sounds so simple. And then I try it. And it is nowhere close. And I'm trying to figure out what is the difference. And I heard him talk about what he's doing once. And if you're thinking of that beat, do, you got like your 4 counts, or you're like your kicks on the 1, your snares on the 3, and you think about that grid of time, 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's thinking that kick drum is going to fall just a fraction of a second this way on that beat. And the snare is actually going to be a little bit this way, because that will give it this feel of momentum. And then you think of dynamics, volume, and tone of when you're hitting. You have your left foot, you have your right foot, you have your left hand, you have your right hand, and they're all on these different parts of the drum set. And he thinks in a dynamic range of 50, from quiet to loud. He can tell you the difference between I hit this hi-hat at a 15 or a 16. That's how dialed in he is on his dynamic range. So he's thinking it's just do, ka, do, ka. And every single hit, he's thinking, is it ahead of the beat? Is it behind? Is it right on for every limb? And then what is the dynamic volume? And how do I shift that over time or between hands and feet to create this feel where you're a beginner and you hear this and you're just like, do, do. And any beginner drummer could play that beat right out of the gate. But they can't make it feel like what he's doing because of what he's aware of. The attention to detail that he has with his specific craft, I can't even begin to fathom. I've been playing drums for 30 years. I don't understand. I mean, I understand cognitively what he's doing. I don't have the awareness. And that level of detail is something that like we played really hard for 5 years, and we're all concerned about that and how that all connects. To learn that kind of skill where, no, this is what we're paying attention to whenever we're doing whatever it is, music, the marketing, and then whatever we're doing in our jobs right now.
A proposal or leading a session or something.
And I mean, obviously, time and energy become resources that you have to manage in that scenario, because how much time do I put into mastering this detail and how much will it have the effect I want it to have? But if we're always pushing to go a little bit further.
I think in short, the way I'd say it is that like you kind of just, when you put yourself in certain situations, you learn that the details matter, right? Like details make subtle changes in the way people feel or perceive you or your project or whatever. And those things, they do matter, right? Like the nuances of things is where, kind of where the good stuff is. Right?
So you got this 3D human metronome, dude.
Right.
That's a great way to describe
That
it.
is a good way to put it. Yeah.
3D metronome. I love it.
Is that like did you find yourselves drawn to those kinds of kind of role models or mentors, or aspire to? I was thinking about brand because I was reading about, you had a post on brand on your website about how everybody obviously I think has a brand. I mean, there's things we can do to try to control that, and there's things that probably get put onto us if we're not not careful about that. How intentional are you were you, I think, then and maybe now about that? And then are there parts of that people don't understand when it comes to say brand?
Yeah.
I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, there's certainly parts that people don't understand in relationship to like the idea of paying attention to the details. The interesting thing is, I think lots of people would say like, yeah, I'm detail oriented, and you don't realize like how deep the details can go. Or we all say we're detail oriented and we're not even aware of half of the details. There's so much more that you can go deeper, you can go wider. There's different things that different people pay attention to. Relating back to band stuff, that's the benefit of having a team where we're all focused on different things and we're figuring out a way for them to come together, and the collective is able to handle a ton of details. In relationship to branding, we all have a brand. A brand is just the instinctive ideas people have about you, a business, an organization, a person, whatever it is. It's this recognizable reputation. Definitely stole that from other people. Recognizable reputation is not my
We'll
term.
put that in the show notes.
There's show notes?
Somebody, Michael
Kevin
Scott.
Kevin Finn and Made by James.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky.
Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky, Kyle Hodgman. Yeah. And so you can do things to influence it. That is what the act of branding is in whatever capacity that is. It's not just logos. It's not just identities. It's not just design. It's not even just words. It's literally the whole, anything you can do to influence someone's instinctive ideas about what a thing is, that's branding.
Yes.
And if you're doing it, you probably have an intention. You're probably paying attention to certain details, and you're trying to accomplish something. But if you aren't being intentional about that, it is still happening.
Yeah.
It is happening to you. People are forming those instinctive ideas about you, whether you like it or not, for good or bad. Right. And instinctively, I think a lot of times people think they're experts or even know a lot about a lot of things because things are going well. And it could just be all of that subconscious stuff that they're not even aware of. You're like, no, like your personality rocks, man. Like people are gravitate to you. They're attracted to you. And that becomes this pull. And then they'll tell you, oh, I did this and I did that. And I have this kind of logo and I form my language this way. And this is why this works. Yeah. Not realizing that it's inherently like your personality, how you treat people. That's the thing that's actually working for good. And then also there is the whole negative side of that, where if you're not paying attention to certain details, if you're not pushing forward on certain things, there could be, or you're just accidentally putting out the wrong thing. Right. I wasn't aware I was treating people like that or speaking like that or sounding like that. And we're all doing that right now,
we are.
too.
Yeah. Now I'm all looking my head.
Yeah, you're like, oh, no. I looked at the camera again.
Yeah. Oh, man. I wasn't nervous to start.
That's my brand.
I am terrible at podcasts.
Now I'm nervous.
Yeah. All those, it could be unintentional, subconscious, negative things are also having an impact on your brand. So there's the level of detail and application and stuff, but it's almost just this like, raising the level of awareness of the things that make people feel a certain way about you or your business or organization or band or city,
whatever it might be.
And I was thinking about that little I don't know anything music, but that little sound you were making there, the little four beat thing, or not even 4 beat, one beat, four something. Yeah. Like, so the beauty of that is it's unbelievably complicated, but it presents itself as simple.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's maybe magic.
Yeah, there is.
I
in
think,
that.
yeah.
Well, I think is this a quote from is it Batman or something? One of the villains in one of the Batman movies, I think, says it. Is it simplicity? Simplicity is the greatest form of sophistication.
I don't know the reference. I like it.
I think it's from a Batman movie. I could be wrong.
There's an educational researcher, Mike.
Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky,
Right.
Kaleb Motz said, Batman said.
Yeah. We'll just ask our producer to look that up real quick. Yeah. Oh, that's right.
There's a word, simplexity.
Simplexity. I like that, actually. Yeah. Well, yeah, because like to strip something down to like its core, like its essence, like just that simple beat played perfectly. Like that's highly sophisticated, but it is a very simple thing at face value, like on the outset. But the more refined and like just dialed in something is, like the more simple it is, oftentimes the more sophisticated it is.
Yeah. Right? I think I think I'm really interested or fascinated in the idea of expertise.
Okay.
And as someone becomes an expert in something, like their focus narrows, right? You start with general knowledge and you focus in an area and you keep on focusing and focusing and focusing. And it's like looking through a microscope, right? And you keep on going down and down and down, and you didn't realize you could go this deep. And you realize you're looking at an atom, and it's the most base element of whatever. And that is simple.
Right.
And you realize, and then you're analyzing something so myopic, but that's what like deep expertise like does. You can have that simple beat and be thinking, what are the components now if that is all there is? And we've focused so deeply to that point and stripped everything else away. What can you pay attention to now?
Right.
And dial in the details when you are that deep into whatever the thing is. And I think that's what happens when someone's an expert and they focus that intensely. And I don't know, I love that idea.
That's a cool idea.
And then especially for myself and the things I love to do, like branding for my business. Doing branding for clients and stuff like the concept of what a brand is and what it means and how people feel about that and how it affects them and how it affects business. Like I love thinking about that stuff. Yeah. And that's, I think some people think, oh, that's pretty specific. You're probably an expert in that area. And I'm thinking there's so much more I need to know. Yeah. And whatever component of that, I only have so much time. I only have so much energy and hours that I'm not going to be able to become an expert in all of that. I'm still going to have to pick a small sliver to dive into. And I bet you if I dove into that and we have this conversation again in 5 years, I'm going to be talking about something else, like somewhere down deep in that hole. And I love that idea of how far you can go into something. And
that's not just like business stuff. Like I'm thinking now, like all the kind of some through lines here too, that's just like life. Like we all are a part of something. We're all a part of a community. We're all a part of, families and friend groups and all these things. And like, we all have a part to play in that. And we all have the little sliders and knobs and whatever of branding that we can turn, like to make people feel a certain way, or to try to provide certain outcomes for people or for ourselves. And that's cool. I'm seeing a lot of connections there.
Well, maybe the if it's all about, it's all across life, and you can't go deep on every single thing. No. Maybe the important part is choosing to go deep on something, right? And have that experience or journey. I don't know if I want to say that.
And for us, we did it with the band. We've done it with our businesses. We've done it with whatever, and people choose all sorts of different things to do that with. And it's important, I think, that we all kind of maybe find.
And it can even be like your hobbies or like whatever. It doesn't have to be the heavy, big, important things in life. There's value in whatever component you feel like I'm going in, and we're gonna see how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Well, let's talk about that.
I'm
going to shift gears on you.
All right, shift gears.
So, and maybe not necessarily hobby, but maybe a bit, or maybe the idea of Kaleb would put me on to this podcast, 99 DI,
Invisible.
99%
99 PI.
PI, not DI.
So close. Yeah.
99 DUI.
Oh, well, that's not good.
And as Roman Mars is, he goes and explores lots of different things, right? And there's this there's an episode, it's a kind of a live episode about municipal flags, which he just like feels maybe like a bit like a random thing,
Right.
But it caught your eye,
Oh, yeah.
or your ear, or both, for sure. What was it that clicked in that episode for you?
I think one of the biggest things that clicked, it was that idea of simplicity that we were talking about in that drum beat. And for me, that happens a lot in branding as well. A lot of my work is developing identities, and that means drawing lots of little logos. Yeah. And these are most effective when they are these simple little marks that almost feel like primal or intuitive and communicate subconsciously the way different colors and textures make people feel. I know that stuff is just fascinating to me. And then watching this TED Talk about flags and Roman Mars talking about the rules of flag design and how they're also incredibly simple. And so that lined up from a design perspective, and in branding too, when I'm coming up with logos and identities, I'm thinking a lot of, the thing I think about a lot is, what's the identity of a group of people? That's weird because I feel like I know who I am. I'm a person, and we know who our identities are. I feel like I know who Kaleb is. Corey, nice to meet you. And it's easy to define identity on a personal level, but what does that mean for like groups of people? And I think about that for businesses and organizations when I'm doing work for clients. And that flag video made me think of that concept for like a city, for a community. What does that mean? And what do we all share in common? And that's so much trickier because the thing that we share is space. And maybe that's why are we sharing the same space? Why is this city even here? Is it the geography? Is it industry? Is it history? It's really weird. And that all has an influence, but I don't walk through my day thinking, man, the land is really making me feel like this, or, you know, oil and gas is really making me feel a certain, like, so what is that? And that was the question that really got me. At first it was, this is a cool design exercise. And then I started thinking for a second what the answer could be. And I was confused immediately. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. This is a really interesting question.
Well, that podcast is also interesting and funny too. He's going into like why so many flags are so bad as well. Right? And like showing the examples of good ones, and you know, it got you thinking about Medicine Hat's flag. I know that.
Yep.
And I think that's why you have us here.
Corey, I'll tee this all up here.
Okay, I was like, all right, are we going there? What are we doing
explore
here?
the flag concept.
Sure. Let's do that.
And what was kind of was it Chicago? That was the flag that he was using as the model.
Yeah.
Flag. Yeah. What was key about that one? Like, what made it so good?
I don't know what makes the flag good. It's simple and it follows all the rules. I don't, design wise, I don't. It's not, to me, it's not exceptional. It does a job and it does it really well. The thing that was interesting to me was, here's this piece of design that is good and effective, and people love it. And then that's where the value came to it, is people's feeling about that flag and their love for it, and then wanting it all over the place. Businesses, there'll be cafes that will just have a big old mural of the flag on the back wall. It's on like all the police uniforms. It's all like, it's just like people want to get buried with it. It's everywhere. People just wear the pin or the patch or whatever. It's this communal love for this symbol. And it's not the like it gets transferred really quickly because here's a symbol. I'm going to use it to express, or like I feel an affinity for it or whatever. But that affinity gets transferred from the design of the flag to the community itself, to the city itself. And then all of a sudden people are like, no, I love my city. And it gets expressed through this flag, this symbol, but there's this interesting feedback loop that's starting to happen. It's like, here's a symbol, here's a flag.
Right.
I like this flag. The flag represents the city. I like the city. And then we all end up sharing and spreading it. And it turns into this positive spiral of, I like the flag, I love my city. That makes me like the flag more. It makes me love the city more.
Yeah.
And then what happens to a group of people when they're doing that? How do they treat each other? What kind of things are they going to do just because they're pumped?
Right.
What kind of businesses are going to start up? What kind of organizations are going to start up? What kind of bands are going to start up? Like people will just be excited to do things for their community because they have this like upward spiral drawing them to something more and higher because like it's not because of the symbol, but the symbol like is the like I don't know motor or escalator. It just spins it.
Well, like what you're asking, like what makes that example that he used in that podcast, the Chicago flag, what makes it effective, right? I think what you may be getting at too is that because it's simple, right? It's just like a blue bar, a white space, a blue bar on top, and then 4 stars in the middle. And you know, like one of the all the bad flags that he pointed to in that episode were very literal, very objective. It's like here,
literally saying the name of the
right.
city.
They say the name of the city, or it's like this literal object, or this literal like.
Million little illustrations detailing the whole timeline of
so
the city
like,
and everything that's ever happened there.
And it's like all the cliche things, for lack of a better word. It's like, you know, we're an oil and gas town, so we've got a rig on our or whatever, our stuff, and we have a big teepee, so let's put a teepee in everything, or you know, all that kind of stuff. Like the reason why what Kyle was talking about there, I think works with the flag like the one that's in that video, is because people can inject their own meaning into it. Like the more simple and open the concept is, the more like it can, the more useful it is. Because as soon as you like make something super literal or like this is like a thing, it's only then just that thing, and people can't reinterpret it or apply themselves to it or see themselves in it or anything like that. So does that make sense? It's like like the way that that design feels and kind of just works when it's out in the wild. It's just kind of, it's infinite because people can make it whatever they want it to be.
So, Kyle, you see this thing, you ruminate on it for some
Years.
time,
And
and put something together, and eventually come to Kaleb saying, "I've got this idea." What's your response to this idea?
Well, I mean, Kyle and I, we hang out a lot. So like
Kaleb said no.
I guess the fact that Kyle's working on something like a flag, it didn't surprise me. And I think the way you worded it to me when you came over that night was that we needed a project, another project or something like that. Yeah.
I miss those old days.
I miss those days. So Kyle, I guess, brought me into this idea of, well, hey, what if we were to, what if I was to tell you, I suppose, from Kyle's perspective, that I have been thinking about redesigning Medicine Hat's flag, and how would we kind of get there, and what would that look like? I should also add maybe that at the time we're recording this podcast, right, this is pre-launch.
Great.
So by the time
Pre-launch of the flag.
the flag. So by the time when you're hearing this, or when this is out, we'll already this will be kind of hitting the streets. Yeah. So just want to add that as well. So anyway, Kyle, brought me into that idea, and we've been working on a flag concept for the city.
So I had you guys invited me to take a look at this several
I think
months
you're
ago.
The first one, the way it worked.
I was really flattered when I heard that, because of why.
Well, I mean,
We heard you had a podcast. We wanted to be on.
This is a very slow play here. It worked out.
Right? Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Actually,
This is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, we made it.
We did it. This isn't even coming out.
Success.
we're trusting that this is actually all working too.
Right.
So and you've positioned that well, Kaleb. There's you've had some ideas about getting this out into the wild.
Yes.
We had a municipal election in the fall, and probably isn't the best time to to think about those kinds of things, and,
Right.
and at some point down the road here, maybe some of this kind of lines up.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the flag.
Sure.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
what it looks like.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
imagine that we have it on screen here, and maybe we can
Oh,
do
right.
that. But
Yeah.
Put it in walk us
post, you know?
through
Yeah.
what's there.
What's our producer's name? You gotta
Yeah.
His name's Turner.
Turner. Yeah.
Turner. Put up the flag.
Yeah. Could you look it up quick, Turner? Yeah. It's just,
Yeah. So
that's the one. Yeah, Turner. Thanks. Yeah.
So the design of the flag, for those who are listening,
Right. Or
Watching and not just listening.
Right. Yeah.
yeah, we got a band of blue across the top, kind of a band of green in the middle, band of orange across the bottom.
Do you think in post you could like paint it as he's
Oh, please,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
right?
Yeah,
Anyway, sorry, I didn't.
Might need to get you to come back and do that. But yes, yeah.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
we have these like intersecting, zigzagging lines. This white line that kind of comes across and dips down, and goes back up, and then take that, flip it over, and we get this weird intersecting pattern. The colors are like a loose reference to the Alberta flag.
Yeah.
We're in Alberta. The orange across the bottom instead of yellow for wheat fields, we got more orange for the brick, the coulee walls, even like the gas industry. That's our land. We got this green area. We live in this valley created by the river that, like, without irrigation, this is essentially a desert in the prairies here, and we get this like little nook of life because of the valley that we're in, and then blue sky, opportunity, and so those lines, the ones coming down, that can be a visual representation of the river valley that Medicine Hat is nestled in, and you have the coulee walls. You take that shape, flip it over, and it becomes like a shelter over where we live. And just realizing honestly, how cool it is to have a community and a city and a group of people that it's so easy to take for granted, like the concept of community, and how much tougher life would be if you were just out on your own. That there is an extreme benefit to living in a group like this, and the shelter and refuge that it gives you. And then putting those two zigzaggy shapes together, creating this symbol of interconnection, realizing that that's the thing that bonds us.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the loose there's a million symbols in the flag, and I could go on, but I actually really don't want to. We want to come to a single symbol point, and it is this symbol of interconnection. But like Kaleb was saying about the Chicago flag, in its simplicity, is we want to leave space for people's interpretation for what this means to them, because if you can see a thing, and this is supposed to be a flag that represents a city, if you're from Medicine Hat, how does this make you feel? How do you relate to it? And that interpretation is just as valid as ours is. And when we showed you this flag, we've been getting feedback. We've talked to a lot of like key community members, and the wild thing is we show them the flag, no context, and just be like, what do you ask them? What do you see? How does this make you feel? And the answers we get, they're all over the place, and it's so cool to hear essentially people's stories through what they see in this thing.
Yeah, we've heard all sorts of cool stuff. And we've obviously thought about what some of the pieces mean for us, and obviously when we present this thing as a concept or as a thought out piece, but each meeting we've had and each kind of focus group kind of type session we've done, the stuff that comes out is awesome. And there's it's cool to like think about all the different ways people have already seen it and applied it and thought about it. We've had a range of feedback already, things from I just don't get it to why are you doing this? Perhaps even damn, I like it. Those are just a few quotes from people we've talked to. It's been great. It's been really cool to see how people are already kind of thinking about it. And I think that idea of it not being like this super literal, like object or on the rails kind of thing is cool to think see what people kind of come up with. Yeah.
And the path to how it gets out there, you've given that some thought too, right?
Yeah,
You know, I was listening to you guys speak about being a punk rock band. How did you phrase that earlier? You got to be telling somebody they're doing something wrong, right? Something like that, right?
That's
but,
awesome.
but you're not necessarily looking to make this like go to City Hall and present it and have a motion and do these meetings, right? This is a bit more subversive.
For sure, yeah, and that's one of my favorite parts about this project is that we don't want to do this through like official channels or like make it be something that's voted on in the traditional sense,
right.
or goes to a committee or anything like that. I think for something like this to be successful and to achieve kind of what we hope it could, it's something that kind of just the community and people just have to sort of naturally just adopt and incorporate into their day or into the way they look at things or what they choose to kind of represent. So with the rollout, like we're thinking about a lot of different ways to kind of just get it out there for people to like actually physically have with them in terms of, it could be like the flag itself, shirts and stickers and things like that to kind of have it out and around the city, and probably by the time that you're hearing this or this is out, a lot of that will maybe kind of already been happening. And I don't know, is there anything you want to add there? Like there's a lot of ways that we've thought about getting this out and kind of putting it where it needs to be.
I mean, we have to be clear. No one asked for this.
No, yeah, that's a good point. No one asked for this.
Like I saw a video and I thought that'd be cool, and this is a good design challenge. And then it kept me up at night, and thinking about the impact that. At first, the gravity of what is a symbol of identity for a city even mean? What should that be? And then following that line all the way down to what we've come up with and the key message that we kind of want to half fill this symbol with, but leaving space for everyone else to interact with it and fill it out the rest of the way. We just wanted to make a thing. I like this city. I love this city. It's given a lot to me. And I also just see so much more. I feel like I see so much potential. And there's so many dominoes that feel like they're about to fall on. And it's interesting to think, like, could a symbol like this, a little tool like this, be the thing that could just start knocking some dominoes down? Is this a fuse for a firework or and I don't know what that is. I don't know what the city could become, but I just feel a lot of potential. And if we could give it a little boost, give it a little bit of energy, and if that's attractive to the community, to the city, and people want to throw their thing on the end of it too, and be like, I'm going to build a business like this, or I'm going to run an organization like this. We're going to do this thing. We're going to start a band. We're going to play a show. Can something like this make people feel like, like give them permission too, in some way of just, I can do this too. I can do this thing and see where this city goes, see where this community goes. But we aren't trying to be like dictatorial about this symbol. We're not trying to tell you it's this, and if you're on board, you're in, and if you're not, get out, kind of thing. We're throwing a message and a symbol and a tool for the community in the middle of the room, and just asking, hey, do you want this? And if you do, cool, let's go. And if you don't, then man, we got our answer. And if it gets enough momentum, and we kind of have the answer, like if the city or if like the community functionally adopts it because they have it on bumper stickers and they're wearing the shirts and it's on their mugs, and we see it working, and we see it how it's affecting people have dreams and do projects and treat each other differently and be more interconnected, then I think we have our answer, and we have a flag, and it doesn't matter if the city adopts it or not. The community has, and then we have this chance where the community is asking for this thing instead of it being the other way around.
Yeah, for sure. If we do it, obviously, if we we do this right, or even the way we're doing it, thinking about it now, like this isn't about, like you said, it's not about us. It's not about kind of, you know, any of that. Yeah, if it lands, it lands, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, and that's cool.
Yeah. Do you have success criteria you're thinking about, like to go, yeah, this is this is kind of what we hoped we'd see?
We might both have different answers for that right now.
Yeah.
But
1, 2, 3.
at the same time, go. One little kind of like a little, I don't know what you call it, like a little vision or a little scenario that I've thought about myself is, you know, it would be cool, of course, if something like this could become like the official flag. Or I'd be cool. It'd be also cool if it's the unofficial one, right? And just this kind of thing that everyone seems to love, or it's just in a lot of places. But I've had this little vision, I guess, or again, scenario of maybe, like say you're going to a council meeting to like pitch, hey, it's time. You know, let's have this be the official flag, and that we get some pushback, let's say. And why? We have a flag, right? Well, no one really knows what that flag looks like. We don't use it effectively. All this, whatever. A lot of good arguments for it. And then, you know, we get some pushback, and, you know, I look around at whoever the councilors are, who cares? It doesn't matter in this scenario. You know, and maybe it's on, you know, one of the councilors' coffee mugs. They have the flag coffee mug, or maybe someone's wearing the lapel pin or something. Or on the walk into the city hall, I noticed that one of the councilors had it on their bumper sticker. And I'm like, hey, you know, you're using it already. Like everyone is, and I think it's time. You know, let's do this. Let's make it the official flag. That would be a cool moment. So I've thought about that a couple times. But I mean, success would even just come from just a great rollout, and just to see people enjoy it. So I don't know. I guess I'm not holding on to like a success. Like we'll just.
Well, we're not trying to be precious about it. It's not this thing that we're trying to like grip tightly and control.
Yeah.
Like I would love to see it be the official flag for the city as well, but not if the community doesn't want it.
Yeah, that's a good
like
point.
If just we as a community, we as the citizens of Medicine Hat are just like, I don't know, like if that's just the consensus, then I don't know if it should be.
No,
but that's not usually the way cities or municipalities end up making their decisions, especially for something like this.
Sure. Yeah.
And there is something to be said about like, should a city lead the community into like where it could go, and there is a portion of that, but there is a portion of the other way around. Like our elected officials work for us, we don't work for them. And so if we as a community are leading the way and we're like, no, like we want this is what it is, then we have our answer. And I would I would love to see it be the official flag, but only if it's the unofficial flag of the city first. And if that happens, man, that's cool.
That'd be great.
I think more than that, if that happens, the thing that I think I would be really proud about would be if this flag becomes at least the unofficial flag of the city.
Yeah.
If, because it exists, it makes people feel like there's more that they could do. It gives them permission to just do things, start up businesses, like start up organizations, take care of each other, do big, ambitious things, because no identity, no city ends up being what it is on accident, right? Like it happens on purpose. There are people who are actively trying to make whatever their city is.
Well, people are paying attention to the details, and those details are cumulative, and they end up mattering.
Yeah, so that would, for me, I'm like, if it was the unofficial flag of the city and I saw businesses and people doing that and realizing that, oh, their love for this symbol translates into love for the city, which translates into like love for their neighbor, and they end up like just being more connected to the people on their block, or a bit more charitable, or a bit more ambitious. If I saw that, dude, that'd
be great.
I'd be over the moon. That would be incredible. And that would be something I'd be incredibly proud to be a part of.
Yeah. Again, that comes back to you mentioned it there. I've said that a bunch during this podcast, I guess, and maybe I say it more than I realize. It's something to be a part of. It's cool to be part of stuff, and it's cool to kind of have your identity be a part of, tied up in things, or be built by things that aren't just yourself, just people around you in your community, and who you choose to involve yourself with. And actually, that piece of identity, we've talked about that a lot, I guess, in our planning and our thinking. And the idea there, I think, is that, we all like tie our identities to something. Again, we said earlier, whether we know it or not, or whether we, for better or for worse, right? We're all tying our identities to something. And I think in like today's kind of landscape or today's world or whatever, obviously like algorithms are a huge part of our lives. Like, I don't know, we don't know what each other's even, algorithms are like. They're different to us. Like the world I live in online could be entirely different from yours. And the news and whatever I get, it might be entirely different than yours. And, we, with AI and everything going on, like just there's a lot of opportunity for us to be like fragmented and not truly connected to our neighbor or even ourselves in a lot of ways, or our community or whatever it is. And this idea of having something like you said, like we can put something into the room or in the middle of the table that offers some form of like, I guess, symbol or concept that could have identity tied to it, or you could tie some of your identity to, offering, I guess, an option for people to kind of find some identity. And it sounds like a kind of a cool idea. Yeah. And maybe it's time for some of us to tie our identity or what we kind of are influenced by or what we're a part of to something more real and tangible and in our community and in our city and in downtown and in wherever else it is, and not out there or on the internet or whatever. We're all here together. Why not have that identity be that?
In the valley and under the dome.
Sure. Yeah.
I was made me think of the Goodwill Hunting moment.
Okay.
Ben Affleck shows up. Like his dream is that he's going to show up one day and Matt Damon's not going to be there.
Yeah.
He finally went and did that thing, right?
Sure.
And so I picture myself, I'm driving, I don't know, I'm going by the Husky and I look up and the Husky's got like the biggest flag ever hanging up there.
It does, yeah.
Or maybe it's on like, there's that, the old wartime siren thing over at the lawn bowling club.
Oh, yeah.
It's up there. Or maybe it's just in subtle spots, but I see it and I go,
They did it. Yes. I was the first one to know about that.
Yeah.
The very first.
Yeah. Have you thought about how it's like? What is that going to? You don't have to give away. Well, you might not be giving away details.
Yeah,
right? we might be seeing
knows?
whether you were right or not.
I guess. Yeah.
I think we're just gonna have fun with it.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's gonna go back to kind of our band days and just
I guess.
making things that we think are fun and cool and hopefully people enjoy and
trying
can
it out.
incorporate in their lives. Little lawn flags, little bumper stickers, but also I think we're just gonna see how how much fun we can have with this thing.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be this weird, serious, highfalutin, put so much like weight and gravity on it. It's also like that's not like everyday life is so much more just basic and in the small, simple like joys of things. So let's just have a good time with it and see where it can take us.
Yeah.
And maybe that connection piece, the intersection, unlocks something. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And we're really hoping too, like we'll have our ideas at first, but we're really hoping that the way the community ends up using it, because we don't also want to own it. We want to a certain degree, like basically open source it, give free licenses away to certain organizations or things that like really represent the city well, and give them permission to just have a blast with it as well. And they can take their remixes of that design and apply it to their scenario.
Totally.
And then maybe we end up in this fun feedback loop of seeing how other people are using it. And that's the thing that actually gives us the ideas for the next thing.
Yeah. It's on the Tigers jerseys. It's painted in a bowl at the skate park. It's who knows where it'll show up. It's kind of cool to think about.
Like I think people are going to give us a whole bunch of ideas. We'll start with the obvious places, and I think people will end up giving us a whole bunch of ideas. And
that's the hope.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's also the point. Like this is a community. We want this to be a community-driven thing. So, if the community is asking for something, let's go.
I wanted to have walk-up music. Like a baseball player has their walk-up song.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you guys that little challenge. What's this flick? I was gonna say, is it Steve? Yeah.
Just a simple, like, perfect.
That's how you can't script that better. You know, bring it full circle. Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah. I love that. We've had that a couple moments throughout this conversation.
Yeah.
Those little like callbacks and full circle moments and all the connections. I love all that stuff. That's great. Yeah. Good job. That's great.
Well, I'm looking forward to what comes of this. I'm looking forward to listening to this and seeing what happened out there.
Well, so am I, and I'm glad that actually we're doing this now. So what? It's just before Christmas.
Yep.
And that means that by the time this is out, we'll have a couple months here. Yeah. So we've been working hard on this. We've been thinking a lot about it. We're kind of getting ready to go. But I mean, hey, this is so. By the time you're hearing this, the moment we're talking right now, the moment we're in, this is kind of a fire starting moment because like we gotta go because if you need to put this episode out.
My chair's getting hot.
Right. If this isn't out at least in some way, by the time this comes out, we're gonna look really dumb.
Well, you just get pressure in a different way.
Right. Yeah, it's just good pressure.
Yeah.
We got some work to do, and we look forward to people seeing what we're up to and using it and doing.
Where can people find info about it?
We'll have a website. We'll have some social media channels. And hopefully you're just seeing it on the street and wondering what is going on.
Yeah.
If we can start that of people wondering, being a little cryptic and mysterious and making people curious.
My working title for this episode normally it's just the person's name.
Oh, okay.
I only have a single person there.
Right.
This one I just said I called it Flags Fly Forever.
Oh.
There's a sporting expression saying like when you got a chance to go for it, it doesn't matter how much it costs or what it is. Like the championship flag flies forever, right? You can't take that away once you got it there. Right. So let's hope your flag flies forever.
Wow.
And a lot of alliteration there. Sorry,
that's very inspirational.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. I'm glad
that's what I needed. I need to go get to work.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm glad we're doing this now and we're hearing inspirational things like this because like April.
Can you call me on a regular?
Yeah, I was going to say. You just need some support.
Just text us like once a week. Flags fly forever.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Let's get back to it. We got to get this thing out there. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you guys.
Oh man,
taking some time to do this.
It's been fun.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this one coming together. And
me too.
And hearing it out in the wild itself. So thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, cool.
Happy to chat.
Again.
Motivation Local is produced by Table 4 Productions with the generous support of TELUS STORYHIVE. You can find our episodes on Optic TV, at our website, motivationlocal.com, on our YouTube channel, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our producer is Turner Sadlemyer. Our theme music was composed by Medicine musical artist Snakes and the Riot. As always, thanks for watching or listening to our podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard here, don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel or leave us some feedback.